Hi, and welcome to another edition of the City Show. We are so excited to have you here, Golden Isles TV. This is the City Show with Regina McDuffie, and we're going to interview her. She's actually giving us the state of the city. You've heard of the State of the Union when the president delivers the State of the Union, but today we're going to hear from Regina McDuffie, City Manager, on the state of the city. Stay tuned. It's all coming up next right here on Golden Isles TV.
This is the state of the city, and it will be presented to local leaders, business leaders, citizens, and officials. The state of the city is based on 2020. So as you know, I started here in Brunswick in May of 2020, which was a new endeavor for me. It was definitely coming here, moving. I'm from Macon, moved here to Brunswick, had not moved in almost 30 years. So it was a challenge, just making that transition to the coast. And when I came here, of course, I was unaware of the Ahmaud Arbery case before I got here. So, at the time that I came, it had begun getting national, attention. So it was interesting, to just come in and encounter what was happening in Brunswick at the time. And of course, May of last year, the pandemic had come about and started to impact not only the local governments, but the local economy. And, there was just so much uncertainty about what was going to happen in light of the pandemic. So there were a lot of interesting things that I encountered when I started here in Brunswick. The community atmosphere, I think, is one of the things that, just really was helpful to me, because it was just really refreshing to be here. And just a warm, supportive environment. I was glad to see all of the entities that were working to assist the city in moving forward and, just continuing to improve not only the entities such as the Chamber, the CVB, and the EDA, but the city areas such as the DDA, the downtown development, the urban redevelopment. The city has started a land bank authority, which I think is really important. And looking at some of the planning things that were done, the neighborhood associations were established, and there were some, other organizations such as Forward Brunswick. So one of the things that I think for me was just that there were so many people willing to invest and willing to help. And now, of course, with the pandemic, as it lessens its grip, I'm hoping that as the nation, is going through a renaissance, that Brunswick can also go through a rebirth and start back, moving forward in the manner that it has.
Absolutely. Yes, a rebirth, hopefully.
Yeah. When you think of the city, of course, the state of the city, you think about the financial condition of the city. And one of the things that I think is really important is to look at the city's fund balance. And basically, this is, the funds that the city holds in case of, things going and not having revenues to support its operation, how much money the city has to sustain its operation during any catastrophic event. As you can see here, in 2010, we had about $300,000 of fund balance. 2015, it had increased to over 2 million. And as of 2020, and these are preliminary figures because we haven't approved our audit yet for 2020, but it was at about 6.3 million. 6.3 million represent about 146 days of operation, which normally auditors recommend a standard 45-day fund balance, which I feel like we need to have at least a 90-day fund balance, but having 146 days is certainly, something that I think is really good for the city's financial condition. And, the current administration, the commissioners, mayor, for the last 10 years have been doing a really good job of sustaining the city and stabilizing its finances.
Yes, absolutely. You can tell that for sure.
Yeah, in looking at the revenues for the city, and again, these are preliminary numbers based on 2020. The important part of our revenues is our property taxes and our sales taxes. And the property taxes are, of course, based on the valuation of properties in the city, and it's pretty stable. So you always want to have a good portion of your revenues coming from property taxes. Right now, ours is about 41% of our revenues, which is a good portion. The sales taxes, on the other hand, are the sales, from sales of supplies, all that types of things that are taxed for sales. And those revenue come from, people who are visiting the cities as well as the local residents. So it's important to have the sales tax because the people coming into the city, everybody contributes to it. But the thing about sales tax is that it can be, up and down. I mean, with the pandemic, we were anticipating, tremendous decreases in our sales tax just because of the things that were happening in the economy. Luckily, that did not happen to the extent that we expected. But overall, right now, the city's general fund revenues are about $15.7 million.
Wow. Wow. That's a great graphic.
Yeah, and looking at the expenses, which is on the other side, is the money that the city expends every year, is about $15.2 million, which is less than our revenues overall. We have some additional expenses sometimes, such as last year we had to put about $1 million into one of the landfill closures, and that caused our expenses to be higher than normal. But as you can see, the makeup of our expenses is about 51% of public safety, which includes the police and fire, an additional 15% for public works, which is of course the maintenance and oversight of our streets and drainage and parks. And then about 8% of our government administration, and then general administration, which includes our liabilities, claims, insurance, utilities. So that's kind of how the city's makeup is of expenses. And again, it's important to note that our normal expenses are, going less than our revenue, and also our fund balance is strong. So financially, the city is in a very solid position. And I think that's, one of the most important things when you look at the state of the city government.
Yes, absolutely.
Other important numbers that, we want to look at is our population. According to the last estimates from the census, our population between 2010 and 2019 grew about 6.3%. Our city digest, which is the valuation of properties in the city, which is right now at approximately $350 million, grew about 3.8% between 2019 and 2020. Our millage rate, which is how we levy our property taxes, has been at 13.2 for the last 5 years, and it has not increased. So even though we have been able to increase our fund balance, operate, our general fund revenues and expenditures, we have not increased our millage rate. So that has a, impact on businesses and residents, and we try and keep that low in order to just keep the expenses low for our citizens. Looking at our overall tax collection rate, and this particular rate includes not only the real and personal property taxes, but also the stormwater and sanitation. So as you can see, 2018, 2 years ago, we've collected approximately 98% of the taxes that were billed. From last year's taxes, we've collected 93%. And from 2020, which was, of course, billed and levied in October, November of last year, approximately 90% has been collected. If you look just at the property tax, which is the real and personal property tax, our numbers are substantially better in the last 2 years. 2018, again, it's at about 99%, 2019 at 98%, and the last levy was 92%. So what that says is that the city is doing a good job of just collecting the taxes that are billed.
Right. That's important.
Just talking about the city's operations in conjunction with the finances, we are also, despite the COVID and slowdown of activities last year, 2020, we did do some really good things for the city. We implemented pay increases for our employees, which the pay increases are very important in just showing our employees how much we value them and support them. And we also established an $11 minimum wage for our employees, which I think is really important to be able to give them a livable wage. I mean, and a a good wage for our employees. So I was very glad to help implement the completion of that project. When I got here, the University of Georgia Carl Vinson Institute had already started and completed most of its work, but we were able to, look at our finances, look at our the state of the city, and determine the affordability of the pay increases and implement that process. Other things that we did last year was we started improvement and upgrade of our website, which I think is substantially important. Again, because of accessibility to city services, we want to make them more accessible by the public and put more things online and, improve our digital capabilities. Another very important aspect is the additional ditch crew that we had approved for last year. And this is to help with the drainage, cleaning out, ditches and drainage throughout the year and help to maintain our infrastructure so that we can minimize or hopefully impact the flooding that we've had in recent months and years. We moved our municipal court for its operations to be contained in the old city hall. And we also, of course, again, and not saying that we wouldn't have done these things, but COVID kind of pushed some things forward, especially in our technological advances. We now have our, meetings where we have them online, streamed on Facebook. We have hybrid meetings where have public hearings at Old City Hall as well as virtual. And just about most of the meetings that we have, are done digitally or virtually.
Right.
I have yet to, since I've been here, I have not been to an in-person commission meeting as of yet. So
Really?
I'm hoping that at some point I will be, but I want it to be a, time that we kind of open up City Hall and be able to have a regular meeting.
Right.
One of the other things is the Mansfield building, which we opened that building and it's not now being occupied by our CDBG disaster recovery and some police offices. So those are some of the operational things that we've done during 2020.
Sounds great.
Okay. Just looking forward to other aspects of the city's operation. Of course, capital improvements are very important. And right now we are trying to get the SPLOST 7 voted on and approved for moving forward. The SPLOST 6 projects are the ones that were levied or approved for 2016. And we have been working on that since that time. Our total collections, originally it was estimated to be about $13.8 million, but because of the additional collections, the total collections ended up being about $15.7 million. So that gave us some extra money to spend, and we could always use, additional money for road projects, drainage, and other infrastructure projects. So that's part of what that money will be used for. Of the projects of SPLOST 6, we have completed about 32%. And I think a lot of people were really glad when we finished the L Street project, because that one tended to have impacted a lot of citizens, businesses, and traffic. Glad to say we improved some of our sidewalk areas in our neighborhoods, which I think is really important, not only for quality of life and having proper infrastructure for our citizens. We finished some improvements at Overlook Park. I think if you ride by, you can see a new restroom structure there. And we're also putting restrooms at Lanier Park. We were able to buy some equipment for vehicle replacements for the police department and fire, and also do an addition to the fire station downtown, as well as an expansion to the Roosevelt Harris Center. Those are the projects that have been completed. We still have a lot of projects that are under construction and design, and those projects are moving forward as well. We have a large road and drainage project in Magnolia Park, which we, hope to mitigate some of the flooding in that area and make some just substantial improvements. We have a lot of improvements in our parks and trails, and also we continue to work in our squares and cemeteries with the funding that we get from the SPLOST.
Absolutely. Well, you've accomplished a lot, completed 32%, and it's ongoing, still ongoing, and a lot more to do. So we heard from Garrow last month about that, and he did a great job of explaining so many of these ongoing projects.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to talk a little bit about our COVID, and I've mentioned it a couple of times because it really was impactful for many things. The city was able to get over $260,000 of direct dollars to the community, and those were used by various entities to buy tests, to provide PPE and sanitation. We had meals being served through our summer program, over 7,000 meals, which I think was quite significant. We had also other meals that were served outside of our summer program, about 4,400 during the course of the year. And we also provided services for over 125 individuals that needed shelter services. Recently, we were able to get vaccines and provide vaccines for city employees and first responders, which I think was, significant because we did have a substantial amount of people out, quarantined, that really impacted our ability to provide services.
Yes.
Well, on another positive note, of course, we always look at our safety in our city, and that's really, really important. We commend our police and fire for the work that they do and being on the front lines every day. Our police department has been able to maintain its state certification. It had over 41,000 police calls for service. The police department's budget is about $5 million, and that equates to about $125 per call, which to me, is relatively good to have that particular impact on the community. Based on our crime reports for last year, the Part 1 crimes, we had about 1,100 crimes reported. Of those, about 14% were violent crimes and 62% were property. But it represented a 35% decrease in Part 1 crimes over the past 5 years, which I think, again, is very significant. We don't want our community to be known as a community where we have crime. We want to have a citizen, visitor-friendly community that, is very active in making sure that our crime decreases over time. Our police department continues to be involved in the community. They attend the MPA meetings. They have neighborhood watch and other patrols that they have in place to get out and just really work well with the community. I think that showed when we had all of the marches and protests during last year, and those were handled without incident in our community. Again, the fire department also, they have been able to maintain their Class 1 rating, and they recorded approximately 3,500 calls for service last year. We had no recorded fire deaths, which I think that's a trend that they have established over the past 5 years and continued. And we would have been more actively implementing our fire and smoke detector program, but because of COVID, that has slowed down. But as soon as we can get back out in the community, we want to work toward that because we want to make sure that every citizen or resident in Brunswick has a working fire smoke detector.
Absolutely.
looking at our economic and community development, that's another aspect of, that's very important in just moving our community forward. Building a better Brunswick is one of our themes. And over the past 2 years, we've had more than $40 million in investments. One of the things that I noted when I first got here was the housing in this area, and it certainly needed improvements. And I was really excited to find out that the city of Brunswick was designated as a for the CDBG disaster recovery program through DCA. This was a program that identified the city as one of 3 areas in the state that was heavily impacted and distressed by recent weather events. And ours was the Hurricane Irma event. Area code 31520, which is the Brunswick, most of city, but some of the county areas as well, could receive over $4 million in funding for housing rehabilitation and from those impacts of the storm. So we were really excited to be able to establish that office. When I got here, we had not quite started, but we have now implemented that, hired a consultant, we've started taking applications, and we've moved forward, surpassing the other 2 communities that have been designated. So we are hoping to use all of our money and some of theirs, if we can, to get as much housing impact in the community as we can. Other housing, I know everyone has seen the Perry Place development on Altima and Martin Luther King, which is it's coming up really nicely. We're excited about that project. And downtown residential has continued to develop as well. I think even through the COVID, we've had development in downtown. New businesses has sprung up. The businesses in the city increased 7.5% even during the last year, which is incredible to have more than 100 new businesses recorded, including the Silver Bluff Brewery and Stripling's, which are some notable businesses that I think that'll be staples in the community. Other areas of development include the reimagining Norwich and a lot of planning and, improvements that we foresee for the Norwich Street corridor. And also we continue to provide incentives and credits for our tax allocation districts, opportunity zones to just encourage and promote more business development in the city.
Absolutely.
We've had development for downtown that we've had over 130 permits issued in the city for last year and over $6 million of improvements in downtown. So we are moving forward despite the limitations that COVID placed on, all the development. Another thing that, people tend not to think about sometimes is our legislation, which impacts a lot of citizens and businesses. Right now, we have in progress a complete overhaul of our zoning ordinance. And this will impact not only business development, but residential development. It'll impact how, businesses are established, how houses are built, and things like that. So it's really important and it's impactful for our citizens and our businesses. Our alcohol ordinance is being reviewed so that and amendments are being made so that we're in compliance with the state law. And so that, our ordinance reflects the laws that are in place right now and the businesses will be current on their operations. We're also looking at a short-term rental ordinance, which will regulate activity in that area and make sure that fees and taxes that should be collected are collected, and also that they don't have an adverse impacts in the neighborhoods where those rentals are. During the year, we passed a tree ordinance, which I think is really important to regulate that activity. I think the trees, the live oaks and other tree trees in the community are, great assets for the community, and we need to make sure they're properly managed. The animal control, we amended that ordinance to make sure it was reflective of the changes that had been made in the state law. And we also reduced our building permit fees. And the reason we did that was, oftentimes you look at government and think all we want to do is collect money or charge for services. But we realized that the permit fees, when they were changed a couple of years ago, had an adverse impact on construction, and the contractors were complaining about it. So once we reviewed it, we wanted to make sure we were in line with other entities in terms of what we were charging. And we actually reduced our fees to make sure that we were being fair in what we were charging. So I think that was something, significant for our government to do.
Definitely.
In looking forward and talking about, planning, planning is a big aspect of city government. The state requires us to present and update our comprehensive plan. And the last update we had was in 2018, and it runs through 2023. One of the things I think is really important in terms of looking at our planning is that we are accomplishing some of the things that were established in the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan has a work program, short-term work program, that has 69 items that the city, has a preview over. And they encompass all kinds of different, the planning, such as the Transportation BATS Committee. They have duties or things that should be accomplished by the DDA, by the URA, by the CVB, by the EDA. I mean, there are a lot of different things that are included in that comprehensive plan. It explores all the aspects, including infrastructure, housing, transportation, and support the involvement that we have in establishing, task force such as the Shoreline Task Force, studies such as the Bay Street Corridor study, the bike study for MLK, and infrastructure improvements. So there's a lot of different things in the comprehensive plan. The best thing about it, I think that I can say, is that as we are planning our work, we are working our plan. We have the zoning updates, we have the land bank established, we have established the storm drainage fee, we have established neighborhood associations, we are working on park improvements, we have done our stormwater master plan, we continue our capital improvements overall. We have, made improvements on the city infrastructure. We have our wayfinding program underway, and we are continuously looking at transportation and ways to improve our transportation, including the transit, establishing a transit system. So, we are really working to improve the city through the comprehensive plan and making some great strides in doing so.
Absolutely. Looks like you are.
Just a couple of things I wanted to note that, we have done this year. And I'm proud to say I've been involved in a lot of these different aspects of getting some things done for the city. As I stated before, the CDBG disaster recovery, that's a huge item, that we want to continue to be successful so that we can bring in as many dollars to the community to improve our housing. The city has numerous grants right now, and I can't list all the grants we have. I know we have a DNR grant for park improvements, one that's being implemented over in Liberty Ship Park. We have a joint application that's being filed with the city and county. We're working together with the county, and they are filing a CDBG MIT, which is the mitigation grant for College Park. We have a JAG grant that we're operating under to assist with expenses for COVID. And we also made an application for a DNR grant when we wanted to relocate the splash pad, and we've gotten the pre-application approved and now are working on the final application for that grant. Another item that I was involved in was the Magnolia Park. We have started through our SPLOST improvements in Magnolia Park. And the city did not have quite enough money to do all of the improvements. So we have applied for a GTIB, which is a Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank grant loan for Magnolia Park, and hopeful that that announcement for us to have that loan approved will come about soon. We went into an agreement for dock improvements or improvements to Liberty Park that we made with Gallagher, which was the company working on the Golden Ray, and was able to get $75,000 for improvements to the dock area and Liberty Park. And we also paid off the Mansfield building and saved $40,000 in interest payments for that payoff. One of the last things we are working on is a roads assessment, which will give us an inventory of all of our roads and tell us where our problem areas are, so we can better know how to spend the money that we get for road improvements. So those are some of the things that, you know, I'm really proud to have been able to accomplish during the last year.
Absolutely.
Well, on the horizon, and that's a beautiful sunrise, just to talk about, you know, where we go from here. There are a lot of positives, you know, that I've spoken about, but of course, you know, we move forward and we still have things and work to be done. So just looking at continuous improvements in our city services, our communication to the public, which I appreciate the opportunity to have the city TV show so that we can get information out positively to the public and provide that as a service for the city. Intensifying our economic development efforts and making sure that contractors and developers and investors, you know, are helped and supported when they come into the city to start businesses and move forward with development. Looking at our poverty level and trying to move the needle through workforce development. One of the things that I would like to see is everybody, you know, working in the city of Brunswick and making sure that people who want to work have the opportunity for jobs in our community. Improving our housing inventory, not only for, you know, low to moderate income, but just every area of housing, and also addressing our homelessness needs. Flooding, drainage concerns, rising sea levels. We have got to continue to look forward and make decisions that can minimize those impacts in the coming years, because as we can see, the climate change is causing issues, and they are real on, you know, impacts that we have to look at it on the coastal community. Maintaining our infrastructure through our capital improvements. And I think, for me, I think Brunswick needs to reestablish our position. We are a great community. We are the gateway to the Golden Isles. We want to be known for all the wonderful things that are here. So we need to continue to, you know, promote, market, and rebrand the city of Brunswick along with Glenn County and the islands, so that we can, you know, just be ready to support the people coming to the area. Quality of life, making sure that our streets are clean, making sure that our air is clean, improving our parks and infrastructure. Those are things, you know, to help our local citizens and the people coming into our community. As I stated before, it is so important to continue our capital improvements through our SPLOST. Want to encourage, you know, that support of that, so that the city will have money for our roads, drainage, parks, and all the improvements that we make with the dollars that we get from the SPLOST. And lastly, promoting unity and inclusion in our community. The event that we have with the chamber to provide this state of the city, state of the county, state of the community address is really, really important to show that we're all working together to support a better Glen, a better Brunswick, and a better place. And that pretty much concludes my comments and my presentation. I wanted to provide thanks to, you know, the city staff, the commissioners, the community leaders, businesses, developers, investors, volunteers, nonprofits, partners, everybody who's involved in, making Brunswick, Glenn County a better place. So thank you for the opportunity. Last but not least, happy semi-quincentennial to the city of Brunswick, which we will be celebrating all year, our 250th anniversary from our founding date in 1771. And that's, I'll conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. Bravo, bravo. That was wonderful and so much great information. And we so appreciate you sharing it with us today. My comments would just be that, great job, because it's exciting to see that even in these down times, these uncertain times, the city has been improving, growing, accomplishing things that you set out to accomplish. So that is exciting and says a lot for, your job coming in as city manager and just the staff in general. And like you said, everybody working together makes a big difference. So, we're so glad to hear all this good news, and happy semi-quincentennial to the city of Brunswick.
Yeah, we hope to have just a great, mid-year celebrations and end-of-year celebrations, and just, something to be proud of. I mean, we have been here. I think sometimes we take the historic aspect of all of Georgia for granted. And I think it's really important to, note how historic and how long we have been here as an established place to live for people in this country. So
250 years, right?
Yes.
250 years. That's quite amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for, the opportunity.
Well, thank you. And we'll see you again next month right here with the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the City Show. This has been a great show with City Manager Regina McDuffie. We'll see you next time on more Golden Isles TV. Welcome back to Golden Isles TV. Stay tuned as we meet with Mathew Hill at Tate Feed and Seed on Newcastle. It's all coming up next in the Business Minute, right here on Golden Isles TV.
I'm Mathew Hill with the Brunswick Downtown Development Authority, and we're here at one of our older downtown Brunswick businesses, Tate Lawn Products. Tate started out in 1928 as Tate Feed and Seed. Correct. So 93 years here in this location. And here with me is Trey Tate, the current owner. His grandfather started the business. Trey, you said that you had the original sales slip from the first sale made here.
Yes, sir.
And what was that for?
It was for a customer named Jim Grant. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was for 25 cents for seed.
25 cents worth of seed.
Yes, sir.
And that's, we've kind of come a long way, because now you've got lawnmowers here, Skag mowers starting at a couple $1,000s, right?
Yes, sir.
And going up to
15,000.
15,000. So, but you still got seed, grass seed, and fertilizer by the pound, so I could come in and buy a half pound of seed if I needed it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, yep, a quarter's worth of fertilizer.
There we go. We should have done that. So Trey, tell us a little bit about how the business has changed over the last 90 years. I know you haven't been here that long, obviously.
No. Grandpa started it selling feed to dairies and chicken houses and whatnot, and was his primary. He had a warehouse on the waterfront and kept everything down there and sold little, very little out of the store here. My great uncle Charlie started his business in the rear of the building, selling Model A's and Nash trucks. And another gentleman had a little produce stand in the front window and sold produce, which wound up being the Brunswick Produce. And Grandpa stayed here and started selling seed and fertilizer and other things. And then when he passed away, my dad took it over and started selling International Tractors is when we first got into the power equipment.
And that was in the 60s, right?
Yes, sir, in the 60s. And then when Dad retired, I took it over, and he didn't really retire. He moved out to Sterling and opened another store.
Oh, okay.
And took all his customers with me. So I got into the power equipment business a lot heavier then.
Because the other store still sells more farm products like straw and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a look around and see what kind of stuff you have here at Tate's.
Okay. For the small homes, we carry the Honda push mowers for the small residential, and then we sell the commercial Hondas for the commercial cutters. Carry the street blowers for blowing off the leaves and the vacuums. Honda generators for when your power goes out or you want to go camping.
I see you've got quite a few generators, so now's the time to buy one if you're thinking about it, right?
Yes, sir, while they're available.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we get a little storm come up and they'll disappear quick.
Correct.
And you also sell other yard equipment like the weed eaters and commercial blowers,
Yes, sir.
but also for homeowners.
Correct.
So,
In the steel product line, we've got homeowner models and commercial models. And then in the Shindawa line, it's primarily a commercial unit. As far as the dollar value, they're both been a very good piece of equipment. In the mowers, all I've sold was the Skag mowers. They've been very reliable product and a company that stands behind their product.
so what do you see as the future for Tate's?
I hope my son's going to take it over, and I'm going fishing.
Well, and your family has a lot of history here too. You were telling me that this started out as the Bijou Theater,
Yes,
where
sir.
they showed magic lantern shows.
Yes, sir.
Somebody reading a script while they're showing slides.
Correct.
That brought to mind when I was a kid and we'd watch slides of family trips.
Yes, sir.
But your uncle was also a photographer and took a lot of pictures of Brunswick.
Yes, sir.
So that's going to be your retirement too, is seeing what you've got.
Yes, sir. This is a picture of the back of the store Model T truck that they used to deliver feed with. This was back in the 30s. This is a picture of my dad and his brother. This picture here is spring tide with the water up here, and my dad and a next door neighbor salesman goofing off fishing.
Well,
Thank
good to
you.
see you.
Yes,
And
sir.
nice to trade here, because I know I bought my steel products here, and
Yes, sir.
always great service here at Tate Feed and Seed in historic downtown Brunswick.
We're excited to be able now to offer you the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funding that's being offered to the citizens of Brunswick and the county. If you live within the 31520 zip code in the city or the county, please come down to 503 Mansfield. We're here to help you get your funding to repair your home, reconstruct your home, and also to help you clear your title. Once again, if you are in the 31520 zip code of the city or the county, please give us a call.
Welcome to Northwest Georgia, where you will discover fun downtown areas, plenty of outdoor activities, fabulous food and dining, and wonderful wineries, plus so much more. Nothing but the best in Georgia's Northwest.
Experience Georgia's Rome Outdoors, where the rivers meet and the mountains begin. Plan your visit now at romegeorgia.org.
Okeechobee's hometown to some of Florida's forgotten roots, where cowboys are real, cows outnumber people, and Southern hospitality is still a part of every day. Come and experience one of the world's most renowned fishing spots, Lake Okeechobee, where it's not a question as to who is on the end of the line, but what. This quaint community offers hunting, biking, hiking, and don't forget, up-close visits with wildlife. Come outside and play in Okeechobee, Florida.
We're excited to be able now to offer you the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funding that's being offered to the citizens of Brunswick and the county. If you live within the 31520 zip code in the city or the county, please come down to 503 Mansfield. We're here to help you get your funding to repair your home, reconstruct your home, and also to help you clear your title.
Hi, welcome back to the City of Brunswick show. We're here with Mathew Hill, and he is going to be talking with SML Surf Company today in downtown Brunswick, located right across from beautiful Mary Ross Park. They have surfboards and all kinds of merchandise. It's an awesome place. Come check it out. Stay tuned to hear more.
Hi, I'm Mathew Hill, Director of the Downtown Development Authority, and we're here in beautiful downtown Brunswick at SML Surf Company with its owner, Jeffrey Gable. Jeffrey, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, thanks. So you've been here on Bay Street about a month now, right?
About a solid month and a half. I used to be on the back side of the warehouse, just moved around front and, trying to get a little bit more exposure out front and, being able to see the place a little bit easier.
Okay, yeah. And as Avery said, you build surfboards. You have some nice merchandise here, but you also do skateboards and people can build their own, right?
Yeah, I have right now, I actually have someone in here. She's finishing painting her board that we worked on together. She did majority of work, and it's a fun project because you can get, people that have never done this before to see all the steps and all the, parts to build what is building the surfboard.
All right. Well, let's take a look inside. We're back again inside SML Surf Company, and Jeffrey has one of his customers working on a board that she has built. So Jeffrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on here?
Okay. What we have is, this is Christy Cavanaugh. She's come in and she wanted to make her own board. So had her come on in, kind of showed her the ropes, showed her, what tools to use, kind of got her rolling on it. And she did majority of the work on it. And she's come in to do the paint job. We help, kind of help her like getting the taping lines done, getting it ready to go. And she came, she picked the colors and what she wanted. So this week we're finishing up paint. I think she might come by Friday for just some touch-up. And then by next week, we're going to have it in glass, ready to go.
So here we are in November, and Christmas time's coming up. So you do custom boards, but I know that, like Christy, people can build their own. Do you have any advice for people shopping or thinking about maybe a board for Christmas for somebody?
Biggest thing is, I guess, having, putting an order in as early as possible. Christmas, they do take 2 to 3 weeks to get done, and that's pushing it. I do have some stock boards this year. Last year, I wasn't prepared for Christmas. I kind of was doing them as they came about. And this year I was able to kind of get some stock boards rolling a little bit quicker, so at least have some ready to go. But if you do want a custom where, you want a certain paint job or a certain image put on there for, your kid, your spouse, anyone, we can still get it done. And I have some people that, I do have some, a couple kids that actually ride my boards in contests for me, and they come over and they'll help out sand and stuff and give me a good, give me a little boost when I need it.
Yeah. Well, and one of your students just won with his own board that he built, right?
Well, both the two guys that that ride for me, it's Liam and Wyatt Kolkmeyer, local guys on St. Simon's. The contests are all held on Tybee Island, and they both have, they pretty much came out of nowhere. They surprised everyone. They're like, where are these kids from? And they're like, there's actually ways in St. Simon's. And these guys, they were in first place in, I think, 3 different divisions. Like, they just kept winning and winning and winning and winning. And the one he came in here and shaped a board. And this winter, they'll be back in here. Both of them will be working on their next boards.
Okay. All right, great.
All right, well, here we are in my shaping bay. It's kind of closed off from the rest of the shop just to keep the dust down. Here's one of the boards that just shaped out. It's glassed and hot coated. Get ready for sanding. It's got its hot coat on there, which is the last coat of resin. And then pretty much going to get about a 400 grit sand. And then a lot of times I'll wet sand them, get them real fine, and then a wax and polish job. So that'll bring the shine out for it. This is a board first time I've ever done a checkerboard, probably the last time I do a checkerboard. It was 2.5 hours of just taping and cutting. By the time you measure out each square and get it all taped and peeled out, sprayed, and then ready to go, it was definitely a process. Most boards I shape, at this point now I can get a board done in about 45 minutes. Shaped this one the other day. This one's getting ready to go. And then this is my daughter Addison. She's shaping her own board. She's 11. She's been in here. Saw in hand, sandpaper covered in dust, and it's been great. It's great for her to be in here, and I've loved seeing kids actually get dirty, get their hands dirty, get them off an iPad and phone and let them actually do some work. SML Surf Co. is online. We have a website, www.smlsurfco.com, on Instagram and Facebook. And also, if you need to call, you can call or text 912-237-0243. Feel free to text. It's probably the easiest thing because when I have the sander going, can't hear anything.
Well, Jeffrey, thanks for showing us around. And Christy, thanks for being a good sport. And remember, SML Surf Company has new boards in stock, but they'll also do custom work and also skateboards. And if you're not ready to do that, you can come get a t-shirt or a cap. And we're right here on Bay Street, across the street from Mary Ross Park at SML Surf Company.
Hi, welcome back to Golden Isles TV. We're here in downtown Brunswick with Mathew Hill. He's going to give us the business minute of the month. Today we are at Cunningham Jewelers, a Southern tradition here in Brunswick, for jewelry and for wedding, bridal registry, and so much more. Let's go in and check it out.
Hi, this is Mathew Hill, Director of the Brunswick Downtown Development Authority. We're here in beautiful, historic downtown Brunswick visiting with one of our oldest businesses, Cunningham Jewelers. We have Dorette and Alexia here. Ladies, tell us a little bit about Cunningham's.
Go for it. All right, well, we've been here since 1916. We are a family-owned business. The Rothschilds actually started the store in the 1800s, and it officially became Cunningham's in 1916, and it's been in the family ever since. So we are a Southern traditional jewelry store. We have fine jewelry, gifts, china. We still do bridal registries. We have baby gifts. We basically say that we can help you everywhere from the engagement all the way, through to your anniversaries and babies and everything else like that. So.
And now we're doing engravings on urns, so we'll take you all the way to the end.
Hi, welcome back to Golden Isles TV. We're here at Cunningham Jewelers, and we're so excited to be here. We were just saying, Cunningham is so great. It's an old historic, really started a long time ago, but I know you do a lot of bridal and engagement rings and that kind of thing, but you also do weddings and place settings and bridal registry. Tell us, we're actually in front of a beautiful display here. Tell us about that.
So we still do a full service bridal registry. We have china. We call it our Great Wall of China. We have fine china and everyday china that you can, use either for formal settings or put in the microwave. I know a lot of people want microwave and dishwasher safe. So we still have brides come in and register, and we also have other ladies that come in and say, well, my china I got as a young married girl, I don't like anymore, so I want to refresh. So we'll help anybody that wants to kind of set up their tablescape and make their house look fresh and new.
You also do some basics like jewelry repair and watch repair. Tell me about that.
We have a watch repairman on staff. We also have a clock repairman on staff. And then we have a bench jeweler who can do everything from a simple solder to a completely redesign. If you have a ring, want to make it into a pendant, or earrings that you want to make into a ring. We just finished doing a mother's ring with 10 grandchildren, stones in the ring. So it's a lot of fun just to play sometimes.
Oh, wow. I love that idea. And they were saying before they could sort of take you from birth to your wedding and beyond. So I love the idea of when grandchildren come and adding to your jewelry. And you might need more china as well because you've got more people to serve. Cunningham Jewelers is a small family-owned business. However, they have got so much to offer, from appraisals. They've got a gemologist. Tell us about that.
Well, we have an appraiser on staff, we have a gemologist on staff, we have a bench jeweler on staff. So even though we're small, we try to provide every service that you need as far as your jewelry is concerned, and everything is done in-house. Nothing is sent out. So we welcome everybody to bring their repairs and see what we can do.
Sounds great. So they've got it all here for you right at Cunningham Jewelers here in downtown Brunswick. Give them a call or come see them today.
We're excited to be able now to offer you the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funding that's being offered to the citizens of Brunswick and the county. If you live within the 31520 zip code in the city or the county, please come down to 503 Mansfield. We're here to help you get your funding to repair your home, reconstruct your home, and also to help you clear your title. Once again, if you are in the 31520 zip code of the city or the county, please give us a call